Hi, thank you for joining us for a quick demonstration of our manufacturing solution on Oracle NetSuite. So, to demonstrate how the solution works, essentially in NetSuite, you will be able to have a dashboard and a role set up where people can log into the manufacturing role and have a look at what work orders are in progress and work orders are there to be released. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you just the work order management process. So, you can create a work order from a sales order. So here's a sales order. You can key in the items, and if it's an assembly item, once the sales order is approved, a work order can be automatically created from the sales order, or you can actually manually create a work order. So to manually create a work order, essentially there's a work order form where you can just select the assembly item that you would like to create. So for example, I'm just using LMP1D in this case, and then essentially the bill of materials is sort of shown down below. You can have revision control with bill of materials. So for example, if I just want to have a look at what this item looks like over here, I'll have, I can just pop up and look at the item itself. And then on the item, if those who are not familiar with NetSuite items, yeah, you can use multi-locations, and item can belong to multiple entities. But anyway, here is in the manufacturing tab, you can see a bill of materials version or revision as such, and then you can have multiple revisions. You can can associate revisions with a particular date. So over here, if I go to this revision, it'll open up what are the components of this revision, and I can edit the components, and this way I can create multiple revisions. So I won't get too much detail about a bill of material. It's fairly comprehensive, but I would like to sort of talk about work order processing. So over here, you can have a work order that you can create. And from the work order, if I just go back again to the item, I can have routings associated with the item. So under the routing table, I can define what's going to happen with the item. So it might be some cutting involved, some milling, turning, and you might set up a route over here, and the route will determine what are the steps involved and in the what sequence. So it's especially important in a production environment where you want to take the product through a number of work centers and so forth that it needs to go through and sort of work from there, being loaded onto different areas of the factory. So here, simply, you can just put in a sequence. You can put a routing version, so a product can be routed to a number, more than one route sequence. So if one aspect is busy, you might want to route the other one. Over here, you could be assigned to a work center. It could have lag from the previous operation. Setup time could be independent time that could be set up. You can also have estimated duration, which is a dependency on how many units you're making. Could be a service item, could be some instructions linked to the product. When defining the work centers, we have allocated in our solution ability to define on the work center some preferences. So essentially, the work center is available for time tracking. You can see how many hours the work center is available, what's a typical start time, what days this work center is going to be operational. It might have a work calendar associated, which might have been days in which the work center is out. A person working at the work center is out, might have certain skills and regions, and you might want to put that on the work center. But again, it's all standard work center management to be able to sort of track when people or machines are available. So once you set that up, once you set up your routings, essentially you're able to then look at work order management process and sort of load up the factory floor. So I'm going to show you that part of it from our scheduling and planning solution. So let me just go back to our dashboard. So here is, we've got work orders to release. So these are orders that can be either created from the sales order or could be manually loaded based on demand. And you can have some work orders that are in progress already because they've been scheduled out and they're sort of available through the click down in the dashboard view. So if we have built a finite capacity planning scheduling system for NetSuite based on work orders and work centers and routes. So we have a screen here called the bulk schedule work order. And then from the bulk schedule work order, you'll have a tab here that shows listing of all orders to be scheduled. These are all orders that are already scheduled. And then there are filters. So when you're releasing work, you can look at work orders that belong to different work centers. You can look at work orders at different stages, from specific sales orders, from specific customers, for specific products. You might be able to filter that out. So it must be up to your business how you want to release work. But simply, if you have a bunch of work orders that are sort of created either from a sales order or a work order, the idea is over here is that you can have them listed here. You can simply go and mark all and say, okay, there's all high priority orders. You can set the priority, and from the high priority orders, you can simply go ahead and create and schedule them. So the system will then look at routings and availability of people and resources, and then just simply go and schedule that. So I'm just going to go do that. But before I do that, I just want to look at what's happening in my factory floor. If I want to look at, I can launch my work order workload viewer from here, or I can have another drag and drop scheduler that I can launch from here, and I can look at a Gantt chart view. So to do that, I just want to look at what's happening in the factory. So I might just going to look at a Gantt chart view. I might just flip a Gantt chart button and have a look at what's being scheduled out across different work orders. So it'll help us to understand a start date and end date, number of days the work's been scheduled, what work order is there. I might want to look at a capacity view. If I click on this workload viewer, and this is going to launch a capacity view for me. And the capacity view is basically that same work being loaded up into different work centers on the left-hand side and the total allocation. You can look at the operations that has been assigned. You can click into the operation and see, what the operation consists of. Essentially, the color here is based on your preferences. So you can load up the cells based on what capacity you might have for that. So there's a different color coding for each of them. You might want to look at a drag and drop view. So I might just click on here, and you want to see how that actually looks on a weekly drag and drop view, and then essentially a fortnightly view or a monthly view or a daily view. So I'm just going to launch into a specific weekly view. I think that's just going to load that up. And then it's going to give us how this is being laid out. This work is laid out into that view. So from here, I have the ability to drag and drop operations. So I can simply, say, okay, this particular work is not going to happen on Friday. I can simply drag it out to sort of Monday, and then they'll adjust the work order essentially for that particular operation. If I need to reschedule the whole work order, I can bulk reschedule those work orders as well. This is mainly for playing with the specific operations. I'll show you the work order scheduling in a sec. So over here, you might want to look at, for example, this is a week, kind of like a weekly or fortnightly view. But we also have a multi-day view, which you can drill down into and look at what's happening hour by hour for that operation. And you might be able to do a number of things there, which we'll just show that to you in a sec. So I'm just going to drill down into the day-to-day. So the idea is the production planners will just release work and plan this work out, and would then operate from the capacity view and the day-to-day view to kind of really micro schedule what's been happening. So for example, if there's an operation here that is a tenant between 8 a.m. to 11 a.m., this is need to be done, moved around. You're going to simply drag and drop that operation to another time. They can stretch this operation out that is going to go longer, and it's going to update. This all updates the allocation of operation back on the work order. And if they decide they're going to move it out the next day or split this operation about, they can move it around. They can actually copy this operation and bring another resource into this, and they can put it here. For example, this one is going to happen on the 10th, and this person is going to be involved. And if they made a mistake, they can kind of simply, delete that, and that's going to take that away, essentially. So there's an interactability across multiple days from this view, and the idea is you can analyze different work orders here against different customers, and you can look at multiple days as well and different stages of the job. And it's up to 4 dimensions of analysis you can do on this sort of view. So it's fine for businesses who have short turnaround time, kind of looking at booking the factory floor. We've got customers who might do a lot of jobs over the multiple days for a week, and then they want to book out everything. They use this interactive view. And then if you might have customers who want to look at a long-term view, in that case, you want to reschedule the entire work order. So we'll show you how you can take a bunch of work orders and schedule them out as well. So I'm just going to go back here on our routing. I just wanted to show you that this was scheduled out. So this is what to be scheduled. So I could simply, look at this and say, okay, well, if I want to start this, I want to schedule this out as soon as possible. So I'm going to put this, select the work orders, make them all high priority. If you had low, a couple of work orders are high priority and then low, so it'll try to schedule the first on high priority ones and then together and then the low priority one. Otherwise, let's try to schedule them all at the same time. So here from this, I can just click on schedule. I need to say to the system that when I want to schedule. So let's just say I want to schedule this on the 9th, and from here I can just simply go and schedule schedule this forward. So then again, it's going to say schedule date for please select the schedule date for selected items. So obviously all these items will have to be, I can define a particular schedule date for them. So let me just say, okay, I wanted to all of them happen the same day. I didn't care. It just all happens on the 9th, and essentially scheduled from there. So I'll just go ahead and schedule. And what that's going to do is going to look at some finite capacity planning around this. And we allow for both forward schedule and backward schedule. So to backward schedule, you have to set expected delivery date, and then it will backward schedule from there. For forward schedule, obviously, you just select a forward-looking date, and then it's going to look at what's available within that, and then schedule out. So here you can see that it's sort of scheduling one after the other. And so that's all done now. And then what you do is kind of reload the screen, and that would disappear from the schedule list, and it's going to go on to the other list. And from here, we can now look at essentially our like a workload view. So we would kind of have to see that this looks a little bit different now. And we might want to launch a Gantt chart as well to kind of see what's happening there over the period. So you can open as many tabs as you would like, and you can save these shortcuts. So it's gone ahead and scheduled this out like this in terms of the Gantt of the work orders. And then from the capacity view, it's kind of looks like this. So it's filled up this workshop as much as possible, and it's done some finite capacity planning around this, and it's gone to this one. Similarly, in the same thing in the drag and drop environment, we're going to look at this now. It's going to be a slightly different. It's going to pull up some work starting on the Monday. That's when we wanted to schedule it out. So yeah, let's just load that up. I was just going to close this off. Sec. This comes through. Yeah. So as you can see, it's just load up these operations on the side. So simple and easy to use. If you decide that certain operations have to be rescheduled, so let's just say that I want to reschedule out everything from Monday or forward for a couple of days or for a week or so, I can do that. So I might just show you how to do that. So over here, you can say, okay, well, we can clear a couple of ways you can do it. So in this way, I'm going to clear the start date. I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to reschedule any of these, all the work orders. So I'm going to schedule a couple of work orders, up to me. So I could say I want to schedule, well, let's just say I'm going to schedule the first, 3 work orders that I have in the system. So these guys are supposed to start on the 5th to the 9th, 6th to the 9th, 10th to the 9th. So let's just say that they were high, all 3 high priority. I can set them up from here as well. I can just set up a high priority for the selected one and set priority. It'll set everything as high, and then you might select these guys and select it low. It's up to you how you want to do that. I want to schedule this out to say, okay, my schedule date in this case, I want to schedule everything from the 9th in these 3 situations. Or if I just select all this and then make this also make this maybe perhaps high, and then this one high. So look, this one normal, and normal, right? So yeah, I could have done a little bit differently by selecting the top, but anyway, so let's just do that, and then you can go calculate start date. So you will see that it's allocated these ones from the 9th, 10th, 12th, and 16th, and then it's allocated these ones from the 17th, 19th, and the 20th. So now all I have to do is I can say, okay, if I wanted to schedule this, forward by 2 days, all of it, then all you have to do is calculate from that, clear the start date, and you say, okay, forward schedule by 2 days, calculate start date. So it's gonna do that, and it's gonna try to forward schedule all of it by 2 days. So what I'm going to do here, I'm just simply go and schedule forward. So I'm just going to reschedule all of this, and essentially I should expect, from this, it takes all the work orders, take the high ones, and then take the normal ones, and then go one by one and reschedule it out. So it's going to take up all the operations that are currently there, sort of reassemble them and sort of forward that through. So it's going to take a few seconds. It's just going to calculate what's available in the map, and you can start seeing it. It's already start doing some of them already done. So if you have a couple of hundred work orders, it may take about like a couple of minutes to kind of run through, essentially. But it's checking at that time. It's also checking its finite capacity planning. So it's kind of checking what work centers are there, what sort of start times, what sort of tasks have been allocated, and it's going down to the hour and the 15 or 30-minute block increments that we kind of look at scheduling to. It kind of checks all of that and works through. So from here, I think it's almost done. So we're gonna look at this from the scheduler screen here. Just wait for it. So if I want to look at reload this page now, I should expect most of this to start from the 9th. And basically there was some work already allocated, so it couldn't start from the 9th. So it could start that one on the 17th, and then the other ones on the 12th based on the capacity. So I just wanted to show that that's the case. And then you could mark all, and you can look at the Gantt chart view of this, and it's going to give you another view of how this work is going to be laid out. So that's how it's going to do that. Maybe there was some holiday on gaps that it needed to take into place. And then from here, I can also look at the workload view, which is kind of like what a capacity view will look like for this. And you can see once that loads up, I'm going to just load up the Gantt drag and drop view as well. So over here, while this loads up, you can see that obviously, it's not scheduling around those dates. So might have certain work centers which are not operating in those dates, but it's found 17th, and it's moved those operations around. Some of the operations might be in progress, and you might not be able to move them. And then the same thing with the drag and drop view that's been sort of adjusted and moved around. Maybe some of the operations have been in progress. So it's an easy way to move things around. The other thing I want to show you from here is that for the shop floor side, the users have access to a mobile app, which we can put in a tablet environment where they can click onto operations. So they kind of launch this app using the Employee Center login, and we can have this sort of set up so you can see all the resources that have on the shop floor. You can see what sort of work is in progress. So the orange is obviously not started, and none of this is started. So you can click on, you have a work order number here, so they can either search or scan the work order number, or they can, in the filter, they can actually select, work order, scan a work order number. So if I want to look at, 432, and then, 432 is this one here, and, I can start this operation and I click onto this. They can take some notes and so forth as well. And as they're working on, you can have some instructions that are shown in the pop-up. They can enter time around missing a screw. So we are stop operation. So that you can add a note, or you can have a form or something that you would want them to fill. You can get this form or instructions or PDF document populated in a button. You can also copy assignments. So they wanted someone else to work with them. They can assign someone else, and then it'll copy the operation against that person, and then it'll be available as on the work order, essentially. So that's just gonna clock that out and then put that person across. And I'll look at 432. It's got that assigned. Let's copy that note across, and let's put that other person across too as well. So this is a tablet environment. We have this. The other thing we have done with the solution is that we build a number of costing reports that you can look at. So we were looking at this work order. There's an assembly item here. We usually we're looking at the item at different versions of bill of material. You want to look at how much it's going to cost you to build that, whether you have stock of this and currently you have stock or you don't have stock, and how much you can make. So this is you can use this to check an inquiry. So if you want to make this is giving you the total item cost, but if you want to make 10 of those, um, check availability. It'll tell you whether can you make 10 of those, and says, okay, well, you know what, you actually require a little bit more, and adds up the red, and this is what your cost is if you want to make 10 of those. And obviously you can apply location filters, because it depends. In NetSuite you can have location filtering turned on, so you can have multi-location stock, and you can just kind of look at what you can make at different locations. It's a good for a sales tool for guys to actually have a look before manufacturing, just to interrogate what they have, what can they manufacture. And over here, you can download that into an Excel report, and then I can share that across as well. So so essentially that tool allows us to just use that for planning. Usually NetSuite work order management process, when you do an assembly build, if you build something, it'll manage that for you, like in terms of what consumption of stock is, and so forth. And that part of it is standard NetSuite work order management. So we'll cover that in another demo. So I hope this gives you a good idea about the AVT manufacturing solution extensions for NetSuite. We've added all this functionality on the work order management process, that we can actually go and look at scheduling work order, rescheduling work order, looking at how operational things are tracking in the factory, looking at Gantt of the information. And from the work order, we are able to then track the production start and end dates. Let's just look at one of those work orders that we actually did schedule out. All right, so just gonna go back here and release. I'm just gonna look at one of those work orders there, schedule out. So basically the start and end date gets updated, and this one was based on delivery date. This had to be scheduled on the 19th, so it did that first, and then it tried to move everything around that. So if I look at it in this particular one, what happens with the scheduling on operations is that you have a production start and end date that gets updated, and obviously we moved it to the 19th, from the 19th, because we would try to reschedule everything out from there. So operation-wise, here are all the operations that are linked to the work order. But that goes into your Gantt, and then from here you can just create a build. Just want to show you standard NetSuite work order, assembly build process. If you have WIP turned on, you can use that as well, where you can track different stages. But let's just say that you were supposed to make X and you made like 5 of those, so it'll populate and consume stock for 5 of those, and then it'll bring 5 of those in the essentially in stock, and then you can just sort of invoice that out. So on the work order, you'll track how much have you built and what essentially is remaining. So you built 5, you had 10, and then essentially those 5 would be available in stock, which you can invoice out. So I hope this shows you sort of a bird's eye view of what happens. And if you have any questions, then again, please go to avt.com.au and just log us an inquiry. We have a few customers on board on this now. Been working on the solution for quite some time, and we've got about 20 reference sites on the solution, and I think that's a pretty neat solution. So if you need any help with that and want to streamline and optimize that part of your business, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. Thank you.